Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Cubans overwhelmingly approve a new constitution. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Monday, February 25th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. Cubans have given their backing to a new constitution that paves the way for modest economic and social reforms, but maintains the one-party socialist system. Official results released Monday afternoon by the National Electoral Commission show that the new constitution was approved by nearly 87% of the 7.8 million voters who cast their ballots in Sunday's referendum. More than 6.8 million people voted in favor of the new charter, 706,400 people voted against it, and more than 300,000 votes were counted as invalid because they were blank or defaced. The new constitution, which replaces the one in force since 1976, enshrines private property and promotes foreign investment. It also separates the functions of head of state and head of government, creating the post of prime minister, who will be proposed by the president and approved by the National Assembly. The prime minister's role will be that of a technocrat in charge of day-to-day operations of the government. The new constitution also sets out that the president must be 60 years or younger when first elected, and it also limits the president to 2 5-year terms. But it does not open the door for Cubans to elect their leader themselves, with the Communist Party remaining the central political force in the country and the only legal party in Cuba. Cuba adopted some constitutional changes in 1978, 1992, and 2002, but this is the first total rewrite of the charter in more than 40 years. More than 9,000 voters cast ballots on a Monday to elect a new government in the British Virgin Islands. Electoral officials say 25 candidates from 4 political parties, as well as a lone independent, contested the election in 9 districts, while 15 candidates contested the poll as at-large candidates. A government statement said the Office of the Supervisor of Elections is committed to ensuring fair and clean elections in the British Overseas Territory. Supervisor of Elections Juliet Penn said 1,120 people voted in advance on polling day last Thursday, an increase of 234 votes from the last election. Over in Antigua and Barbuda, Harold Lovell easily retained the leadership of the main opposition United Progressive Party, UPP, less than a year after he unsuccessfully led it into a general election. The former finance minister beat the lone challenger, Richard Lewis, by a landslide 245 votes to 63 in Sunday's elections. Lovell thanked supporters for the victory, while Lewis has promised to give full support to the re-elected leader. The party also re-elected incumbent D. Giselle Isaac as its chairman. Over in Jamaica, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has not yet announced a date for the by-election in the East Portland constituency, where the sitting MP was murdered earlier this month. But his Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, on Sunday rolled out its machinery to canvass support for its candidate for the area, Anne-Marie Vaz. The opposition People's National Party, PNP, meantime, says it will this week decide who will be its candidate when the election is called. We get more in this report from Andrea Chisholm of TVJ News.
An electrifying atmosphere at the JLP Area Council 2 conference to bolster support for Anne-Marie Vaz, the party's candidate for East Portland. No date has been set for the by-election, but history proves it will be a tough challenge for Action Anne. The seat, with over 34,000 registered voters, has been a PNP stronghold, and in the last general election, the PNP won by 2,276 votes. But for JLP MP Darl Vaz, the PNP has not done enough for the constituency.
It is a shame and disgrace to see the conditions of Eastern Portland in terms of infrastructure, opportunities, and everything else. And the question that I ask, after 30 years of having this seat and doing nothing in this seat, if you don't realize it, Tom drunk, but Tom no fool no more.
Now, news has surfaced that the opposition PNP has decided not to give Andrea Moore the nod to represent the party in the by-election. Damian Crawford is tipped to represent the PNP in East Portland.
Meantime, speaking at the JLP meeting, Anne-Marie Vaz declared that her aim to represent the constituency is not to fulfill any personal ambition, but to serve the people of East Portland. She says she has been working in the constituency for years.
I've nothing to prove to myself, which is the most important thing, or anything to prove to anybody. This mission is about East Portland and the people of East Portland. Nothing else. The first thing I started to do was clean up this place, because you cannot ask people to come and invest and come and set up shop in a place that is dirty. So we started to clean from Long Bay straight to Horseshoe Road into the town. We cleaned up the town. We cleaned up the beach.
The constituency had been represented by the PNP's Dr. Linville Broomfield, who was stabbed to death in his home a few weeks ago. His body was found on February 2nd. A High Court judge in Trinidad has threatened to jail Police Commissioner Gary Griffith for contempt of court if he fails to carry out an order issued by the court last October. Griffith has 14 days to comply with the order to reclassify the leave of a 37-year-old corporal who fell and injured himself while at a police station on May 8, 2012. In his lawsuit, the policeman claimed that the area was slippery because of a leaking pipe and the fall caused him serious back injuries. And he challenged the decision of the then Commissioner of Police to reclassify his sick leave from injury leave with pay to extended leave with no pay without explanation, and to repay all his salaries and benefits from May 2012 to March 2016. Last October, Justice Frank C. Prasad ruled in the officer's favor, and the judge says it would serve the court no pleasure in sending Commissioner Griffith to jail, and urged the top cop to ensure the order is complied with or find himself in contempt of court. Police officers in the Bahamas are expected to be using body cameras by the summer. Minister of National Security Marvin Dames says Cabinet gave its approval 2 weeks ago.
Bringing transparency to what it is the police officers do. This is very important because it's important for two reasons. To protect the citizens from overzealous police officers, and to protect the police officers from persons who may be accusing them wrongfully. And so we're excited about it, and we as a government, since coming into office, we're very, very excited about making this a reality, and we're very close to doing just that.
Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, the Guyana government hoping for quick settlement of an industrial dispute at a Russian-owned bauxite company in the country. Stay with us.
This is unbelievable. Look at this water. It's like you're in the Caribbean. So come to Ipswich, get a hotel, go to the bed and breakfast, go get a roast beef sandwich over Pomodoros. Do what you're going to do, but this is unbelievable. Oh, no, wait, we are in the Caribbean. Oh, my God, that's that's a good fish. You got another one? Hey, Stevie the Striper!
With where we're from, we can grab a stalk of sugar cane and get the sugar that we need from that sugar cane through juice or tea or the raw sugar. That's where our sugar source comes from. In the Caribbean and of that region, when we want juice, it's more of a carrot juice or a beet juice, or we're juicing all of that, which is wonderful and nutritious from the soil.
Owned bauxite company Rusal will reinstate the 61 workers who were fired after they went on strike 2 weeks ago over salary increases. Natural Resources Minister Raphael Trotman said he's optimistic that the workers could be employed again by Wednesday. Local company officials have said they intend to inform the government of the company's position once they have discussions with their principals back in Russia.
Our ministry is a ministry that deals with the production. Ministry of Social Protection deals with labor industrial issues. But I would expect for us to get back into production and normalcy. That certainly by Wednesday the latest, Rusal ought to be able to give not just the government, but more importantly the workers, some positive news. We want, I think Minister Harmer puts it best, we want to see workers that are comfortable, both with their wages and conditions of work, and we want to see a company working in Guyana that is earning a fair rate of return on its investment. So it's finding that balance between aiding the company and ensuring that the workers are okay. So we stood with the company during its travails with the sanctions. We expect that the company will stand with us now with minds in Guyana and respects both the laws and the workers.
Rusal halted its operations after workers demanded at least a 15% increase in their wages and salaries. The protesting workers were subsequently relieved of their duties. Company officials maintained that the strike was unjustified and had badly affected operations. Trotman says the workers also need to follow collective bargaining agreements.
We can say that there shall never be industrial unrest. It's the nature of relations between employer and employee. I think ultimately the better systems need to be put in place for managing those relations. On the one hand, I think the company needs to understand that we do have laws. On the other hand, I think the workers need to follow a collective bargaining agreement. So the answer lies in getting a firm collective bargaining agreement between the company and the workers. And so as long as there's an absence of such an agreement, we're going to have this tension which erupts periodically.
A Venezuelan national has won a case against the Trinidad and Tobago Immigration Division, which denied her entry into the Twin Island Republic last week. The woman, who is a registered asylum seeker, filed an emergency application and was granted entry to the island. This is the first time an asylum seeker has successfully taken on the Immigration Division. We get more in this TV6 News report.
Venezuelan national Fendi's Nazareth Marquez Balza left Trinidad to travel to the Dominican Republic. However, when she sought to return on Wednesday, she was denied entry by immigration officers, even though she explained to the officers that she was an asylum seeker with the UNHCR. She was sent back to the Dominican Republic, where she was also denied entry. Fearful that she could be sent back to Venezuela, Ms. Marquez Balza contacted her attorneys, Shalini Sankar and Ricky Pandowi, who tried contacting the Chief Immigration Officer and the Minister of National Security to facilitate her entry. When no response was forthcoming, Ms. Marquez Balza, through her attorneys, filed an emergency application stating that her denial of entry was in direct contravention with TNT's refugee policy, including the principle of non-refoulement.
The matter was heard before the Honorable Mr. Justice Rambachan at around 6:30 p.m. and he granted her permission to enter the jurisdiction after listening to the attorneys and after reading the affidavits in support of her application to allow her entry.
According to Ms. Sanka, if Ms. Marquez Balza was sent back to Venezuela, TNT would be in direct contravention of Article 33 of the 1951 Convention relating to the status of refugees.
What happened was we tried to inform immigration of these principles and of their own standard guidelines that they have, where they're supposed to allow her entry once it is that she had claimed that she was an asylum seeker. The decision, we are saying, was a wrong and unlawful decision to make. So after hearing the attorneys, the judge agreed and he allowed the interim injunction and allowed her to enter the country.
The Immigration Manual Volume 1, Guidelines on Policies and Procedures for Immigration Officers, Chapter 4, states, quote, "It is necessary to have regard to Trinidad and Tobago obligations under international conventions when making a decision about whether to refuse entry. Thus, if a person who would normally be refused entry indicates that he or she wishes to claim refugee status, he or she must not be removed from Trinidad and Tobago soil, except as permitted under applicable domestic Trinidad and Tobago law, normally only after the person has been given the opportunity to have his or her claim to refugee status assessed and the person is declared not to be a refugee."
Well, in times of medical emergency, Caribbean residents are sometimes faced with the added burden of meeting the cost of an air ambulance or medical treatment overseas. Well, one group of investors say they want to make it easier for all English-speaking Caribbean countries to access such services from the French territories of Martinique, Guadeloupe, and French Guyana. We get the details in this week's Newsline Health.
A group of investors from Europe and the French Caribbean have been exploring the possibility of providing medical evacuation services to the English-speaking Caribbean. The initiative is being spearheaded by the president of the Guadeloupe-based Caribbean Aviation Center for Excellence, Lucien Plaisance. He told CMC he received positive feedback from the representatives of the French overseas territories during recent talks.
It will be important for Caribbean people use the hospital when they have some emergency services or when they are health and they are sick, and for that it's necessary to have a plane.
The Director General of the Social Security Fund of Guadeloupe, Henri Yakou, said while there is a system for cooperation on healthcare, it is not organized.
My job for the cooperation of the Caribbean is create a system. Create a system for management, general manager of the system.
Islands in the Dutch Caribbean are also considering the proposal for medical evacuation.
For Bonaire, which is the main island, the biggest island, the most people living there, we have a pretty good medevac system. But for the other islands, Station and Seba, I think there is room to improve. So I think that would be the main thing that would benefit.
The discussions are ongoing, and Plaisance says he's confident that Caribbean countries will buy into the project. Marie-Claire Williams, Newsline Health.
Ahead in Newsline Sport, reinforces the third ODI between the West Indies and England to be abandoned. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the WWG 2019 War with Germs.
The Oxitec antimicrobial glove is wasting no time, folks.
Quite right, Tammy. I see no way for the germs duo to come back from this.
Oh, what a slam. What a slam. Oxitec is the winner in less than a minute. WWG champion of the world. Find our champion at www.psci.biz or give us a call at 417-0777.
Dance jump up to this, non-stop turn and twist.
What up, it's your boy French Montana.
It's me, Smokey Robinson.
It's your boy David Doe.
Hi, I'm Elme.
This is Buju Banton, and I'll be performing live with the Shiloh Band in St. Kitts Music Festival.
Don't miss the 23rd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival, June 26th to June 30th, 2019. Featuring Buju Banton, Smokey Robinson, Popcorn, and Elme. Also, Davido, French Montana, Fimba, Edwin Yearwood and Crossfire, Coco T, Skinny Fabulous, Shal Marshall, Charlie Black, Farmer Nappy, Nadia Batson, Infamous, New Vibes Band, and many, many more. It will be epic. It will be mind-blowing. It will be jaw-dropping. It will be awesome. The St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other. For more information and to buy tickets, log on to www.stkitsmusicfestival.com.
Reinforced the abandonment of the third one-day international between West Indies and England in Grenada on Monday. Match officials had scheduled a 10:35 a.m. start after England won the toss and chose to send West Indies into bat. But adverse weather kept players off the field at the Grenada National Stadium. A second scheduled start time of 11:45 a.m., which would have seen the contest reduced to 42 overs per side, also came and went without a ball bowled after ground staff were forced to keep the covers on. The match was eventually called off at 2:40 p.m. The series is tied 1-1 after England won the first ODI by 6 wickets and West Indies took the second by 26 runs in the doubleheader in Bridgetown last week. The fourth match is set for Grenada on Wednesday, and the final match of the series is set for St. Lucia next Saturday. Meantime, all-rounder Andre Russell has been drafted into the West Indies squad for the final two one-day internationals. Against England, the 30-year-old powerful lower-order batsman and effective fast bowler, who was overlooked for the first 3 matches, replaces experienced seamer Kemar Roach, who suffered a lower back injury prior to the opening match in Bridgetown and was ruled out of the 5-match series. The Jamaican has not played for West Indies in ODIs since the 3-match series against Bangladesh in the Caribbean last July. Russell's career has been plagued with a dodgy knee, and he has preferred to focus on the shortest format in recent times. He scored 998 runs from 52 ODIs with 4 half-centuries and taking 65 wickets. 4 batsmen scored half-centuries on the 4th and final day as the 8th round regional 4-day championship match between the Leeward Islands Hurricanes and Trinidad and Tobago Red Force petered out into a draw. In a high-scoring match, the Hurricanes set their opponents a mammoth total of 352 for victory after declaring their second innings on 315 for 6. Joshua De Silva and Lendl Simmons then posted half-centuries as the Red Force climbed to 236 for 4 before the match was eventually called off. De Silva, who scored 75, and Simmons, who made 59 at better than a run-a-ball rate, then added another 88 runs in only 16 overs. Even when the pair fell in quick succession, the Red Force were never in danger of losing the match, with the two sides agreeing to a draw shortly after. For the second successive match, Barbados Pride's bowlers produced a remarkable effort to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, this time against the Windward Islands Volcanoes. Set 270 runs for victory, the Volcanoes had seemed set to complete a win after resuming the day on 181 for 3, but Miguel Cummins and Jomel Warrican ran through the Volcanoes' middle order to dismiss them for 246 and give the Pride a 23-run victory. Cummins ended with 4 wickets for 53 runs, while Warrican took 3 for 88 and Chaim Holder 2 for 64. And 16 wickets tumbled as leaders Guyana Jaguars suffered a shock 8-wicket defeat to Jamaica Scorpions inside 2 days on Friday. In a low-scoring contest at Sabina Park, the hosts easily chased down 158 for victory, with Test batsman Jermaine Blackwood top scoring with an unbeaten 72 and Brandon King stroking 66 not out. Scorpions were slumping at 15 for 2 in the 3rd over before the pair came together in an unbroken stand of 143 to lift their side to their 3rd win of the campaign. Still in cricket, the region's premier domestic T20 tournament, the Caribbean Premier League, will face some disruption due to a revised itinerary for the India tour. India had been scheduled to tour the Caribbean in July and August for a full series of tests, one-day internationals and T20s. But Cricket West Indies President Dave Cameron said the Indian Cricket Board had asked for the tour to begin in August instead. CPL recently announced last month that it had reached an agreement with CWI for the tournament to be played in the window from August 21st to September 27th. But Cameron says the dates originally proposed would see India starting a few days after the World Cup. And he says they'd asked to push the dates back on the basis that they'll be in the finals and potentially win. The Supreme Court in India had ruled that India must have a 15-day hiatus between tournaments. And finally, Continental Governing Football Body CONCACAF has ordered the Jamaica Football Federation to scrap one of the Premier League tournaments. TVJ's Karen Madden has the details.
3 weeks ago, Cavaliers' CEO Rudolph Speed had called for an end to the Premier League Clubs Association PLCA and the Professional Football Association of Jamaica PFAJ, as he didn't think it required the two associations to run the Premier League.
I believe that the time has come for you only to have one organization with one set of expenses. Then the club will get more money. What the PLCA was started out as, it's not really fulfilling its mandate. The PFAJ has also failed miserably to fulfill its mandate because a lot of the times you don't know who is in charge of the league, which one of the organization, based on what is happening.
That's the sport. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Hey, Mr. Bentley, long side Tarzan, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Welcome to the WWG 2019 War with Germs.
The Oxitec antimicrobial glove is wasting no time, folks.
Quite right, Tammy. I see no way for the germs duo to come back from this.
Oh, what a slam. What a slam. Oxitec is the winner in less than a minute. WWG champion of the world. Find our champion at www.psci.biz or give us a call at 417-0777.
And that's Caribbean Newsline. We'll be back here tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and have yourselves a good night.